Hi, guys. Welcome, traveler. You found a quiet place, away from the noise. There's an old saying in the far north: some men don't know they've died until winter forgets their name. This is the story of one such man. In a quiet village, nestled between frozen fjords and pine-dark forests, lived a man named Eirik Halvorsen. He was the gravekeeper. No one else had ever held that job. No one wanted to. For over 40 years, Eirik dug every grave, carved every name, and lowered every coffin into the frozen earth with his own hands. He worked alone, in silence, through sun, snow, and storm. He believed the dead deserved dignity. And dignity to Eirik meant order. And order to Eirik was sacred. He never married, never traveled, never laughed at the pub with the others. Some say he once loved a woman named Liv, a school teacher who died young in a boating accident. After her death, Eirik wore only gray. He stopped speaking to neighbors. He let the world turn without him, while he turned inward, giving his life fully to the care of the dead. The villagers whispered about him, but never cruelly. He was quiet, not cold, detached, not unkind. He spoke more to gravestones than to the living. And some children said he could hear the dead answer back. But Eirik didn't seem mad, only tired. The kind of tired that settles in the bones and never quite leaves. When Eirik passed at the age of 73, no family came. No siblings, no children, no friends, only the wind and the snow and a few quiet neighbors who nodded respectfully from afar. They buried him as he had once requested, at the center of the cemetery, on a small hill overlooking every grave. The very hill where he used to pause during his rounds, hands behind his back, eyes scanning the stones as if counting them, as if watching over his flock. They carved his name into the stone, but oddly, no one could agree what to write beneath it. Some said he watched over the resting. Others, he was more ghost than man already. In the end, they left it blank, just his name and a smooth slab of gray. Weeks passed. Then odd things began to happen. A teenage girl said she saw footprints circling the graves, but they led nowhere. No beginning, no end, just a perfect spiral, melted slightly into the frost. An old man visiting his wife's grave found his flowers, rearranged, neatly, lovingly, but no one else had been by. He swore by it. Late one night, someone walking past the edge of the cemetery heard the unmistakable sound of a shovel biting into frozen earth. Scrape, lift, pause. Scrape, pause. As if someone was still working. And then came the boy, the one who saw him. He said, "There was an old man with a lantern walking between the graves. I thought it was the new caretaker, but when I waved, he didn't have a face." The boy's mother made him sleep with salt under his pillow for a week. At first, no one panicked. Old places have old stories. But then the sightings grew familiar. A visitor claimed she saw a figure standing at attention beside a toppled tombstone, hands behind his back, just like Eirik used to stand. Another swore she saw faint breath in the cold, drifting from nowhere. And then, the village priest, Father Mikkel, a kind man with steady hands, stayed behind one evening after prayer. He walked up to Eirik's grave, lit a candle. "If you're still here," he whispered, "you can go now. Your work is done." The flame flickered once, then went out, even though there was no wind. That's when the elders began to remember an old word from the sagas. Draugr, the Norse undead. But not zombies, not ghouls. No, Draugr are something else. They are bodies with souls that refuse to leave. They do not rot. They do not rest. They stay behind for one reason: attachment. Not out of love, not out of rage, but out of a need to control what they once kept in order. But Eirik did not haunt the living. He didn't scream or chase or claw. He simply continued his duties. He rearranged flowers. He cleared snow from graves. He stood beneath the moon, holding a lantern that had no flame. One night, a traveler camped near the graveyard saw a man walking through the stones. He watched for an hour. The man never stopped. At dawn, the figure vanished into the hill. When he asked the villagers who the man was, they only said, "No one watches the dead anymore." But he doesn't know that. Not every haunting is made of rage. Sometimes a haunting is made of habit. Eirik had poured every hour, every heartbeat, every ounce of belief into his sacred routine. But death doesn't care about routine. And peace doesn't come to those who refuse to rest. So if you ever pass a quiet cemetery in the far north and see footprints that have no beginning and no end, or a flicker of lantern light where no one walks, don't be afraid. Just nod gently. And remember, Some souls don't stay behind because they're angry. They stay because they no longer know how to leave.